Gonna get started. Hello and welcome everyone. My name is Rudy Hernandez. I'm the program director for A Window Between Worlds, and it's so great that you're all here with us today. For those of you who are new to us, A Window Between Worlds is all about empowering individuals and organizations to support communities. And we do this by training staff to lead trauma-informed art workshops and providing ongoing support. And folks who use this program use it with clients, staff, and even organization and well-being as well. And through this approach, we build a nationwide network of over 1,200 active Windows facilitators. Many of you who are with us today, if you're an active Windows facilitator, just go ahead and wave. We'd love to see you all. Hello, hello, hello. We've built a community of practice of over 1,200 Windows facilitators, reaching tens of thousands of participants each year, when we're so excited to have you all here with us. If you're interested in getting trained or getting more of your team trained, stick around after this event. We're doing a training and benefits showcase where you hear a little bit more and you can ask a little more questions about this fabulous training as well. I'm so excited to introduce you to our support team. I'll invite them to wave so you can see them. Maybe if they want to do a little fun dance. We're going to start off with Rachel Price, our program coordinator. She's also going to be your tech support. So if you have any questions, feel free to direct message her. She's happy to support you. We have the fabulous Christy Turek-Riles, our Director of Training and Outreach. Hey, Christy. We have Kat Mardot, our Training and Outreach Coordinator. Hello, Kat. And we also have Kate Mardris on the back end. She's running the slideshow, our Marketing Communications Manager. Thank you so much, Kate. Our fabulous Executive Director, Zachary Scott. Hey, Zachary. Hello, hello. Celebrating back there. And our wonderful founder, Kathy Salzer, I see you there. Just wanted to say hello. Thank you. Our heart goes out to you. Thank you so much for being here. So happy to see you. We're gathered here as a community at a time when there's a lot going on. Here in Los Angeles County, the recent wildfires have really brought home both the vulnerability and the resilience of our community. And beyond our immediate area, we're all navigating challenges across the nation, and frankly, a world that can feel pretty complex and overwhelming. And whether you've been directly impacted by any of these events or supporting those who have, or simply looking for a way to, strengthen your own resilience, you are welcome in this space. Our goal today is to learn, connect, and heal together. And I was thinking in times like these, when things feel unstable, that the importance of community really, really shines. And so I'm glad that we've come together today to find strength not only in ourselves, but in each other as well. Today, we're going to be focusing on our resiliency zone, that inner place of balance and calm that we can get knocked off of when times get a little rough, when they get a little tricky. This event marks a year-long connection that we're going to be offering folks. Throughout the year, we're going to be sharing workshops, resources, and just a year of connection. One of the things that we've learned is that art can really bring folks together and really allow us to tap into a place that maybe sometimes we haven't visited in a while. So I invite you to sit back, enjoy, and really just use this time for whatever you need. To begin this journey, I'm going to invite us to ground ourselves with 3 deep breaths. So I just invite you to just get comfortable in your space. Now I'm going to be offering breath work, but if this isn't your preference, you can simply observe your natural breathing and just consider the prompts. You can use any other grounding practice that you like, maybe counting, maybe just noticing the things around you. And as we start, I just invite you to just settle comfortably in your space. Just allow yourself to notice the natural rhythm of your breath. The gentle rise and fall of your chest and your belly. Now you can close your eyes if you like, or you can just focus on something in the room. Now with each breath, I'm going to share an intention and guide your inhales and exhales. For our first breath, we're just going to let go of anything we like to let go of, any tension, any worry, any burdens. And we're going to breathe in and out, letting go of any of that tension or worry. Maybe making any adjustments to your body. For our second breath, we're just going to focus on the here and now. Maybe with yourself and your community. The second breath is just for that connection that we have. So let's go ahead and breathe in and out, returning to our natural rhythm. Now for our third breath, I'm going to invite you to bring to mind any intentions you have for today. Maybe it could be peace, clarity, maybe healing, or anything else that resonates with you. So again, we'll go ahead and breathe in and out. Allowing yourself to just reflect on any of those that you'd like. And just as a reminder, this is a resource you can always return to throughout our time together and even beyond. It's a great way to get us back into that resiliency zone. If you had your eyes closed, feel free to go ahead and open them and transition back. We're going to go ahead and continue that safe space by offering some community agreements and our agenda into the chat. It's a way for us to kind of build that safety. I'm going to invite you to go ahead and add any community agreements that you'd like to invite into this space. And take a moment to review the agenda. Again, we'll have our presentation and discussion. We'll do some art together. We'll share in some small groups. We'll do a little activity in the chat for the large group sharing. And then a chance for us to kind of close it up and transition over to that training and benefits showcase at the end as well, if you'd like to stick around for that. All right, and again, feel free to throw in any additional community agreements that help you feel safe in this space. Maybe we can learn from that as well and really understand how to continue to create safety for ourselves and one another as well. Right. And with that, I am so excited to introduce you to our presenter today. Her name is Tiambe Wallace. She is our fabulous AWBW training consultant, fabulous co-trainer, feminist therapist, educator, activist. She's been part of our community practice as a trained Windows facilitator since 2003, and I could not think of anyone better to guide us through this time. Tiambe, thank you so much for being here today, and I'm so excited for you to guide us. Feel free to take it away.
Thank you so much. What a lovely introduction and just allowing us to settle into the space. Thank you to Rudy and especially to everyone that's here, Windows staff and volunteers, facilitators. I'm really honored to be connecting to a community that consistently gives me uplift and care. So I'm feeling that in this moment. So I am going to share my screen and we're going to take a little bit of time. As Rudy said, this is really an invitation to all of us to share this community space at a time where there are multiple crises. The follow-up to what has been experienced here across LA County, the losses, the impact of on a wide range of issues, both locally, nationally, and globally. And so I just offer that in this moment, we will get to co-create a space together, a window of time for our collective care. And the kind of insight around this idea of exploring our resiliency zone is to recognize that capacity for resilience. And I just wanted to take a moment to think about how that word resilience, how that gets used sometimes. Sometimes we can start to think of it as a place that we're kind of striving for, that will arrive, and that will be kind of the end of a lot of maybe the intensity or the high crisis that we're in. And so I would want to honor maybe a bit of a definition of resilience, that it is something that we continue to grow our capacity for, that it's not a place where everything is, we wipe our hands, everything's done, but more a place to have gratitude, that we get to acknowledge what it is that we are going through and what we need and what we deserve in those times, especially when we are bumped out of our resiliency zone. So we're going to get a chance to explore that together today. I'm going to take a bit of time to think about what that resiliency zone might be. And I hope that that, along with the three breaths that Rudy just honored us with, or any other way that you are taking up this space, know that all of you is witnessed and welcomed in this space. Just as far as content information, I'm going to talk a little bit about some of big or overwhelming types of feelings that might come up, honor some of the ways that we might be experiencing this time, and that can bring up things. So know that you can participate in whatever way you would like. Witnessing and observing is honored, camera on or off. Doing things as we move into the art workshop in whatever way really is adjusted for your needs. And I'm going to welcome us to take this moment to check in and just practice some self and community care. And we've got these lovely feelings foxes, as they've been named now. And I hope we could just take a moment to honor what we're feeling in this moment. um, it might be any one of these. Maybe it's not. Maybe you're a 10 plus, or maybe you're between, 2 and 3. Let us know in the chat. Just a moment to check in and be witnessed by this community of care. What feelings Fox is connecting with what you're feeling in this moment? And I'm seeing things coming in. Thank you. Yes. Some 3 and 4, I love that. Combos are welcome. Yeah, some 9, 4. Yes, a combination, I see that. Excellent. Thank you all. Your where you're how you're feeling and what sorts of movements you're having in the realities of your world, and the ways that that's impacting you right now are all welcomed in this space. Today, for this bit of time that we get to connect in community, is really a way for us to honor, and I like to hold some gratitude for what those feelings tell us. These feelings, foxes, or any way that we can take a moment, just as we just did, and kind of slow that pace. How do we find balance in a time of so many crises? Often we really need to find a way to focus on what's in front of us. And that can be really hard. Our neurology and many of just those regular kind of human ways that we respond can have us feeling scattered and feeling like we need to respond in many different ways to multiple crises, mass traumas, loss, the impact of the wildfires, the other natural disasters, and things that we have seen continuing to impact, the ongoing ways that harm, targeting, erasure, oppression can make the current landscape feel like we don't have the capacity to really navigate that. And this is a time where we have to look for those helpers. Where are the folks that maybe are analyzing, synthesizing, that already have done some of this work, or are there to help when we aren't able to kind of pull in all of those scattered pieces? Many times we also have to look at what are those social and relational needs we have. And at a time like this, it's easy for misunderstanding and hurt to arise. In fact, we need more clarity around our boundaries. So we can take this time in community care to maybe clarify what are those needs, boundaries, and being able to ask and show up for what we need and get resourced and cared for in the ways that meet us where we are so important. And that means communities, pods, groups, mutual aid. This is going to be something so important at a time like this. Being able to reach out and know that we're not alone, and that this is a longer stretch. Finding our way through our resiliency zone journey is a marathon, not a sprint. So, what is it that we're talking about with this resiliency zone? It's when we're in that zone, it's really a sense of balance. It's where we feel we have capacity. It's one of the reasons I really love being in um, communities where we ask consent of one another. Do you have capacity to listen? Or is it okay if we circle back to something you brought up earlier? Really checking in because our capacity changes moment to moment sometimes. And that capacity to respond to our internal needs, but also the external pressures and all of the array of stressors that we might be facing. It's that ability to navigate those situations, to feel like we can put into place some of the things that we need to scaffold our way to finding a sense of center, of rebalancing. And for many folks, right, this is just a part of how we show up. The resiliency zone does really depend on having our physiological and our safety needs met. And in a lot of the current crises, that's been one of the major aspects of how that lack of safety, harm, loss, loss of life, loss of space, home, all of these aspects that have a really big impact on our ability to be in that resiliency zone. It's definitely not a place where we shut off all our emotions or a finish line. It's really about being in more of a regulated place, meaning that we can rest and digest, we can process things. And it's a time where we can be curious and think about how we might meet ourselves with compassion while we experience intense feelings, helping ourselves kind of escorting with gentleness and care back into that resiliency zone can be a very helpful tool. And so we're going to look at what those responses are and maybe those times where we get bumped out of our resiliency zone and how we might view that as an opportunity to care for ourselves, to be curious about our needs. First and foremost, it is a healthy and natural human response. The rest of the animal kingdom also has common responses like this. It's a response when we're feeling in danger, when there's the potential for or the threat of harm, where we lack, as I said, physiological safety, even often safety in terms of belongingness, care, an ability to be safe within our community. And it can definitely spike and be impacted when there's a real threat to our bodily integrity or the threat of a loss of life. It is a brain and body response. So it's a holistic response. We can't just turn it off or on like a light switch. It really is part of a way to protect us. And the overwhelm and the intensity of these types of crises, many of the ways that we are able to survive hardships, how folks have survived before us, has been this ability to honor that strong response and to adapt, to be able to have those responses that clue us in to what our needs might be, and then to try to utilize things that help us to get back in that resiliency zone. We know that animals respond, right? That freezing, deer in headlights. And in these representations, we see that that resiliency zone is simply symbolized by being kind of between those two straight lines. And in between, we bounce around and we have lots of experiences and feelings and ways that we are engaging in the world. And when crises or impact of loss, targeting or harm, when any of these things come up, we get bumped outside. And that might mean that we bump into a way that we are outside of that zone, where we're feeling shut down, overwhelmed, where we feel lethargic or even detached. Or we might bump into a space where we feel hypervigilant and overwhelmed, where there's a sense that we are beyond our capacity and feeling like things are going so quickly that we can't get a handle on them. So, how do we grow our resiliency zone? We get activated outside of that in many ways. And all of us have unique patterns and histories and resiliency journeys. We often face that through our own lens and our own experiential knowledge. And I honor that each of you has wisdom about your resilience and how you are continuing to grow that. We might also experience being bumped out of our zone in times of multiple crises, such as this, by vicarious stressors, because it's actually healthy and vital that we respond when we witness the suffering of others. And in a time where there's been so much impact, it's important for us to honor how we are witnessing for others. So, collective and community care is a part of growing our resilience. We see examples around us of multiple crises, mass trauma events, and there are ways that we can build in support, patterns that grow our ability to self regulate. Sometimes I just try to put mine all around me. That's a little bit of art that tells me, right, I deserve compassion, or to dance when I don't know what to do. I have those tools nearby. A touchstone that I made in community at a Windows event. It might be a picture or something that I can feel in the moment, something that I can hold on to. Small symbols, even if we just have our breath or a moment to check in, these can offer us a pathway back to a more balanced place. And so I would share that curiosity and our collective wisdom is what are the major tools for growing our resiliency zone. We learn from each other. I have learned over and over again from the wisdom of folks that have come before me, that trained me, that offered their time and care, their capacity when I needed it. And those small things actually help grow pathways in our brains. There's a healing impact of seeing the strength of community, the cultural wisdom that we each bring, our language, the healing arts that we've practiced and that ancestors have practiced before us. Those strengths grow our resiliency zone. And we can use our time. I hope and invite you that in a moment, we're going to step into our window of time for creation. And that's where we find ourselves offering compassion to witness through journaling, through art, color, symbols, maybe just through closing your eyes or sitting back and taking a moment to take this break, to be with your breath, to honor that we're in space together and that that matters. Your presence matters, and that we're grateful for that. So I'm going to invite us now to get back into that zone, to think about what that means. And this bit of time is a window of time for you to really honor your identity, your hopes, your truth. It is an invitation to think about how you might enjoy or be present with, in whatever way is right for you, this process. Take a moment of reflection about how you get back centered, and to observe how you might bring play, color, joy into that moment. So you might have printed out the worksheet, but you are invited to utilize anything you have. It could just be taking that moment for yourself. It can be utilizing the worksheet. It might be that you just turn it over on the back and decide to journal. That is all welcomed. And this is a space where everything is voluntary. It is opt in, so you can take what works for you and leave the rest. This is a space where you are really respected in whatever way you might need to think about your resiliency zone. I'm going to show a couple samples of things that myself and Rudy have done. This is one where I used the worksheet, but just colored outside the lines in whatever way I wanted to show some of the ways that thoughts, feelings, symbols of things that help me to build and grow my resiliency zone, the music, the flow of ideas, getting back to connecting to who I am, and then things that I feel when I'm outside of that. How do I honor and notice? And this can be a tool for me in that regard. And Rudy gave us this wonderful way of looking at even something that you could say to yourself. My core is calm, steady, and balanced. That's a way to be able to ground ourselves, and then to notice what are the things that pop up. All these bubbles around are giving us ideas of how might I understand when I've been bumped out of my resiliency zone. So any way that you would like to honor your process, you can use colors, shapes, words, or symbols. You can journal, listen to the music in any way. Above and below those lines, you might express what it feels like when that balance is hard to find, when you're feeling stressed or overwhelmed. And in between, you can represent maybe tools, ideas, things that you might use to help cue you when you need to regain that balance. Any sorts of things that might you might engage in that process, resources, any needs that you want to attend to. And finally, you might take some time to reflect on those signs. What are strategies that help you the most? What have you used before? Really, that curiosity and your wisdom that comes from you and from others you've seen. So, in a moment, you're going to hear the music play. And in about 10 minutes, I'm going to check in and give us a time estimate, and we can start our creation time. This is your